Hi! Today I'll show you two different things. I'll show you value smooth lerp and I'll show you smooth value. Now the reason why I'm showing both of them at the same time is because they pretty much do the same thing. Let's get into it. Now, value smooth lerp is something to do with flux. So if we go to math in the Notebooks browser, to interpolation, here we have everything pretty much that has to do with turning one value into another value over an amount of time. Value smooth lerp is the very bottom one here, and we'll be using as an example here float and color X. Now, there's two inputs for smooth lerp. There's the input, which is the actual value, for example, a float value or a color X value, whichever one you chose. And then there is a speed. Now, speed by default is 0, and 0 essentially means that smoothing will take forever. Because the smaller the value is, the longer the smoothing takes. The higher the value is, the faster the smoothing is. So if I change the speed here to, for example, 0.1, and then change the color X value here from red from 0 to 1, you'll see that this will slowly start becoming red. Now, if I set the speed back to 0, you'll see it lock in the position it's currently at. And if I change this to 0, 0, 0, so it's black and transparent again, you'll see this won't update. Now, if I set the float up here to, for example, 50, you'll see nothing happens. And if I make this again red and not transparent, you'll also see nothing happens. If we change the speed and set here to 5, you'll see it pretty rapidly approaches the value. If we change it to 2, it's going to be a bit slower, but it'll still pretty rapidly approach the value. Now, personally, I like using values of 0.2 or 0.5 for things that need to slowly change. I like using 2 for things that need to be changing a little bit faster. 5, I personally, 4 and 5, I personally like to use for blend shapes, as it seems a pretty nice amount of time to transition between facial features and stuff like that. And then 10 and above for anything that needs to change smoothly, but does not really need like a fancy animation. It just needs to not look like it's going on, off, on, off. Instead, it just goes off, on, which 10 is pretty decent for, because as you can see, if we change it to here to green, you'll very quickly get that green value, but it'll have this part where it'll just slowly come in. Alright, so let's go over here, where we have an inspector open already, and go to attach component, and in transform drivers, towards the bottom, where S is, we'll have smooth value. Now, smooth value of type float and color X were basically the same as these nodes over here. So we can even grab the speed here and put it into the speed value here, which is actually the default already. Grab the color value here and put it into the target value here. And then grab the target value from here and put it up here. Oh, I missed. And there we go. Oh, actually, I missed again. Oh, right. Because this is a value like this, I have to drop it in here. I think though, I'm pretty sure that I can drop it from the display onto the target value. Yes. It's just because I'm grabbing it from the field specifically that does not work unless I put it on the field. Alright, so now what we would need is a way to display these. So we'll actually go all the way back, go to data, value field, and we'll get a float field and a color X field. Then we hook up this value here, and you'll notice that immediately this value will go from 0 slowly to its approaching value of 5. And if I grab this value for the color here, you'll see it'll smoothly go to green. And now if I update these values up here, you'll see they'll, just like before, animate smoothly. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Smooth Lerp, smooth value. Now, you might be wondering, well, which one is the best? And the answer to that is no. If you're working with Flux already, then this is probably your easiest go-to. If you're working with components already, or you've not broken out any Flux yet, this might be a lot simpler for you to set up, because you don't need to bring out the Flux tool and hook up any nodes. But they pretty much fulfill the exact same purpose, and the difference between them in compute time is negligible from my own experience. So use whichever one currently fits your purpose the best. If you're working in Flux, use Smooth Lerp. If you're working in components, use Smooth Value. If you're working with both at the time, use whichever one currently for the value that you're smoothing makes most sense. If you're smoothing a value that is somewhere in the inspector on a component, it might be ideal for you to use smooth value. It is, however, you need to however keep in mind that you need to obviously have a field for smooth value to put it onto, while Smooth Lerp has an output field, which is what makes it a lot better to use in Flux, because we can directly work with the value that it's smoothing here, while here we first need to put this onto an extra field. But yeah, I hope this helps you in the future, and I hope you have fun with it. If you have any suggestions for things for me to cover in the future, leave them down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!